Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Alimin Farihin Abdul Rahman, and today I'm going to present to you, to all of you, about what is I-REIT, what is Islamic REIT, what is Islamic Real Estate Investment Fund. And this is my last video presentation for this semester. Let's go. So firstly, what is REIT? What is REIT? What is REIT? Real Estate Investment Fund. What is REIT? So REIT is a form of unit trust fund from the pool of money from the investor. Banyaknya form. From the pool of money from the investor, and we use that pool of money to buy, manage or sell a real estate. So for example, let's say I'm gonna buy a building of Ministry of Finance. So Ministry of Finance, no? So all the activity in Ministry of Finance, they rent the building, right? So I will get the rental. So I will get the rental as a dividend. That is REIT. So next, what is I-REIT? Islamic Real Estate Investment Fund. Not fund, Real Estate Investment Trust. So what is I-REIT? Islamic. It is Islamic. Islamic means all the activity in the real property must in the permissible from the Al-Quran, from the Sharia, from the compliant. That is Islamic. That is I-REIT. So what is the real property? Real property or the physical land or those human-made items that attach to the land. Sama macam medium. Slide medium. So when we combine this together, what is this mean? This mean I-REIT mean we invest the money at I-REIT to get the return from the investment from the rental of the tenant, but the condition is the tenant must operate the activity in the permissible way only. That is I-REIT. Understand? Do you understand? Senang macam ni lah, cik abang. Cik invest duit dalam real property and the sources of income must come from the halal sources. Understand? You understand? You want to speak in Tamil or what? So now muri mari kena ni, mari muri now ni kada likit mari muri. Understand? That is I-REIT. So next, how to know the I-REIT is follow the Sharia? So first, utilization of the real estate must come from the Sharia compliant. Like I say, all the activity from the tenant must come from the permissible activity only. So just now I already buy the MOF, right? MOF building. So all the activity in the MOF building must come from the permissible activity only. So cannot be riba, so many riba in the MOF. Cannot be gambling or drug or whatsoever. That is the first one. Secondly, the development of the real estate must come from the halal sources. So let's say I'm not buy the MOF building yet. So the sources of money that I get, I want to buy the MOF, right? So the sources that I get must come from the halal sources. Cannot be Macau scam. Want to buy the MOF building. So thirdly, the investment of the cash or liquidity must come from the Sharia compliant. This is the same. So lastly, the insurance. So I want to develop the real estate, let's say the MOF. So the insurance, let's say with fundamental issue or burning in the MOF, so the insurance to cover the loss, so to cover the risk must come from the takaful. Cannot be compliant, cannot be conventional. This must come from the takaful. That is how to determine the I-REIT is follow the Sharia compliant. So Mr. Islan will explain to you what is the staple REIT. And don't waste our time. Let's go to Mr. Islan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Islam bin Maisa. Today I will present about type of range. Second is structure of Islamic REIT. So let's go. Type of range. First is equity range. Equity range is own and operate income producing the real estate. They developing, leasing and providing building management and also tenant service. They also generate income through the acquiring the building through the rental. Second is mortgage range. Mortgage range is lend money to the real estate owner and operator. Third is hybrid range. Hybrid range is combination of equity range and mortgage range. And fourth is tablet range, include two or more separate entities together to trade using a single new financial instrument. As you can see, this is a structure of Islamic range. First, the investor invests in I-REIT through holding of the unit. the I-REITs acquired real estate as its pool of the asset. The manager also manage and administer the I-REITs. Trustees act as the custodian of the fund. Besides that, Syariah Committee also advise on the matter pertaining to the Syariah. Property manager provide maintenance and management service of the real estate. Lastly, tenant rent the real estate. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nur Farah Ilani binti Muhammad Isa, and today, me and my friend Nurul Hikmah and Nur Atira want to explain about Chapter 8, which is Islamic derivative. But in my parts, I will explain about what is derivative, the differences between off-balance sheet versus on-balance sheet, and the last one is about the future contract and Islamic finance.
What is a derivative? Derivative is a financial instrument with the price derived from an underlying asset. In a broad sense, it's an agreement between two or more parties. What can be considered an asset? A lot of instruments: stocks, indices, commodities, and even weather. There are 5 main types of derivatives: options, futures, forwards, swaps, and contracts for difference. But the goal is always to manage risk or to speculate, or both. Smart traders know that all types of investment come with risks. Derivatives are not an exception. Value of an underlying asset can go against you, resulting in losses.
So next, I will discuss about these two things, which is off-balance sheet technique versus on-balance sheet technique. Okay, all the risk management techniques are involving the derivative are off-balance sheet. So, off-balance sheet means the hedging mechanism and method is detached from the underlying transaction. So, there have 3 benefits in this part, which is no need to change the way to do the business, and there is no loss competitiveness, and lastly is the customer convenience. Meanwhile, on-balance sheet techniques are structured in such a way to manage the inherent risk. So, for example, is Malaysian exporter and foreign customer, and there is also quotes in only in Ringgit Malaysia, and it also increase the FC price equivalent to cover the risk. And lastly is the currency risk sharing agreement. Okay, for off-balance sheet technique have become tremendously popular because of there is cheap and flexibility, no inconvenience to customer, and it also can enhance the competitive. So the second point is, despite the popularity derivative based on the off-balance sheet technique, the Islamic jurists have generally not been in favor. So now, I want to focus on future contract and Islamic finance. So, what is future contract? Actually, future contract is a number of instrument contract that exist in Islamic finance that could be basis for the forward contract within an Islamic framework. So, there are 3 Islamic contract, which is SALAM contract, ISTISNA contract, and JUALAH contract. So, the 3 contract that I have mentioned before, it's concerned about the different transaction and will be applicable for any different situation.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Atira, and I will explain about I-SALAM, the SALAM contract, and also the Islamic financial institution. I-SALAM is an extension of transaction with the 2 parties who are agreed to carry out a sale or purchases for the predetermined future date, but in a price determined in a fully paid amount in when the contract has been made. And it also have a similar with the conventional forward contract, but it's a big different with the SALAM sale, which is the price have been made is for the future benefit, and it also make a full payment on the day the contract have been made, and the payment have been made in cash. It should be clear that current exchange traded future will conform to this condition with the exception of the first, which require full advance payment by the buyer. Okay, But as allowed by the Sharia, the buyer can ask for security by form a guarantee or maybe a mortgage for their guarantee to take the money back if the seller do not have a responsibility to the services. Next point is the Salam contract and Islamic financial institution. Since the Salam contract invests into the transaction in the underlying asset and financial institution do not want to invest in the underlying asset, so they have other way to make it available, such as a parallel with seller and also the offsetting transaction with third party. Next is parallel with seller. Parallel with seller have entering into the original Salam contract. The bank can get into a parallel Salam sale to sell the underlying commodity after a time lapse for the same maturity date. Okay, they have 2 points, which is time lapse and independent. Okay, for the time lapse, the resale price will be higher and considered justifiable since there will be a time lapse, and it also different between two price and will affect the bank profit. Okay, for example, the shorter the time left for the maturity, the higher the price will be. And for the independent, both transactions should be independent to each other. Offsetting transaction with third party. Since this contract do not have involved in the Salam contract, so the bank do not receive any advance payment. Okay, under point delivery date, the bank that from original Salam contract have sell the commodity to the third party on the delivery date. And for the second point is maturity date. It will be a transaction carried out on a maturity date based on the predetermined price. Thank you. That's all from me.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. I am Nurul Hikmah binti Zainuddin, and today I will be explaining about ISTISNA and JUALAH under futures contract. Next, we have ISTISNA and JUALAH contract. Any of you very familiar with this term? ISTISNA is a contract that made by a buyer and a manufacturer to produce a needed product to his specification, while JUALAH contract is similar with ISTISNA but only applicable for services that contradict with the manufactured product. The item to be manufactured must specifically mention the type, quantity, and quality. The times of delivery stated in the contract must be clear to avoid any uncertainty. What is the characteristic? First, the price must be fixed and agreed by both parties. Second, the agreement must be terminated by the party before the production start. And lastly, no advance payment need to be done in this contract like by Salam. So next video will explain the types of ISTISNA and the differences between ISTISNA and by Salam contract.
Thank you guys. I think that is all from us. I hope you understand. Thank you.